Well, what's up, guys? It's Uncle Freedom coming to you on a glorious and well-deserved day off back at home. I've been at the academy all week teaching rifle to the new recruits. I was there a couple of weeks ago teaching handgun, and today we're going to talk about my top 10 uncomfortable, people don't want to talk about it because it involves money and making bad decisions. So we'll just go with the top 10 waste of money and bad decisions you can have when it comes to kit and rifles and setups mainly. So guys, if that sounds like fun, maybe you're curious what I'm going to say next. If you're afraid I'm going to offend you, that's great, cool. Like and subscribe, tell a friend, because it all helps the algorithm. We are growing, and I appreciate it. We're creeping up on 7,000 subscribers. That's insane to me. It's been a lot of fun. So I see things when I teach that other people will never see in a month of Sundays. It's just how it is. I actually witnessed a rifle go down this week because the tag from the back of his shirt had found its way into the chamber. You heard that right. So the white tag in the back of his shirt, I look over, his rifle misfires because that's what we're doing. We're watching for these things to happen. He click, no bang. And I'm like, tap rack. He taps and he goes to rack and I'm like, whoa, drop your mag. And actually he was jerking on it because it wouldn't come loose. And I'm like, drop your mag. So he drops the mag. I'm like, lock your bolt to the rear. He doesn't. He just racks it. And what he does is he crams this tag further into the chamber and it sees the gun up. We were able to get it loose. So I look over. All I see is the outside of this chamber. There's like a white flag. Like, dude, you have abused me so badly for the week. Please stop shooting me. I give up. White flag on a rifle. So we go over. We pull this thing out. And we get the gun cleared up. But I held up. I'm like, that's a first for me, man. I had to dig this thing out with a freaking multi-tool so that I could get the gun back up for the guy. But when I look at this, some of the stuff we see out there is what inspired this list. It is just literally, just because it looks cool, man, doesn't mean it's going to work. And just because you bought it and it was expensive also doesn't mean it's going to work. Fact. I don't care. So first off, let's talk about something that does work, since I was getting asked if I had an update on this, and that would be on my Blue Alpha Gear Battle Belt Light. I've been running this belt for the last few months. It's got hundreds and hundreds of hours of range time on it now. Use and operational use, I like this belt a lot. The inner belt is still a thing of beauty. This is an incredibly rigid belt system. The only things I have noticed that it's just a thought for me, it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the word, is when it gets super hot outside, the Tigris material that's in the outer belt, while maintaining its rigidity, does flex a little more, and it'll twist when you're putting it on and taking it back off again as you're changing things out on the range. So I did have a couple of times out there that I put it on and I didn't get it perfectly centered because it was flexing underneath me, but not a deal breaker, just something to be mindful of. And that was also like 6 hours in at 100 degrees. So, but other than that, I mean, you see it, it's perfectly rigid and amazing, and I adore this belt, which brings me to my first part, which is when you set up your belt, be purposeful about where you put shit on your belt. Your belt is not designed to hold everything, okay? It's not. My belts are all the same. Dump pouch, rifle, 2-pistol, medical kit, auxiliary pistol mag pouches that hold flashlight and a multi-tool, my holster system, and something that holds my gloves. The augment to this is that some of mine have a cuff pouch on the front because I'm a cop. So, but I saw this all the time. People were getting out there on the range, they're going to set their stuff up and they're going to reload or stage mags, and they couldn't get to their mags. Or they would get to their mag and it would chuck stuff out of it. The one guy didn't have enough pouches, so he crammed his mag in his pocket, which is how he picked up the tag from his shirt because he was sunburned as hell, and ran it into the action of his rifle. Set your stuff up to make you successful. This should make your life easier. When I sit here and I go down to reload, I know I've got my pistol mag. I've got my second pistol mag. I've got my rifle mag. And it's second nature to me because I've done it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. However, I watched people set their stuff up with things that just flat don't fucking work. I mean, I watched people that couldn't get to their mag pouch to get the gun reloaded. Your next one we see, and we see this with armor all the time, which is guys go a little overboard. Back panels are really cool, right? But you can't get to anything in the back panel. Yes, I run a specific plate carrier. It's in another video, and in that video, I run it, and I have a Eagle Industries map pack, or the modular assault pack, mollied into the back of my Cry JPC. It is there because it serves the exact purpose it's intent to. I'm not supposed to get anything out of it. And when I'm not running in that environment, it's compressed completely flat and I don't put shit in it. That's why I have a dump pouch, is to put shit that I need immediate access to. That's what it's for. It's for like that specific set of circumstances, nothing else. You do these back panels that have flashbang pouches, all this other stuff. That's great if you have a guy in your team to get stuff from it. If you are alone, you spent money on a capability you can't use. Again, just because you spend a bunch of money on it doesn't make it fucking work. Be realistic about this shit. Oh my God, and here we go. Let's talk about some rifle stuff. Bipods. Why in God's name do you have Atlas bipods on your 10-3 with iron sights? I'll wait. It's stupid. It makes no sense at all. None. Bipods are great, but they're great for a very, very specific set of circumstances where you're going to be laying in the prone and taking shots, where you have to measure and count things and add and be stable for a long period of time because you're an observer, much like I talked about in the DMR video. However, if you are running this as a fighting gun and you find yourself very rarely in the prone, why in God's name are you running a bipod? Now, you could tell me it's because, well, when I'm on a bench and I'm zeroing out things, I have a bipod. Buy a bag, bro. You could buy a cuddle bag from Coltac, spend $100 on this one bag. You're going to spend the same price on your bipods, but now my rifle's lighter. I have a better ability to get purchase on the front of that gun. I also have the ability to use it with a bunch of different rifles, laying down, kneeling. I can use it standing and throw it on a barricade. Bipods are great in the one element they're designed to work in. If you are not doing that element and you put them on because your favorite YouTuber said bipods are great, you look fucking stupid. And you also have like 1 pound to 2 pounds of extra additional weight on the front of your gun that makes it harder to get a good grip on and harder for you to maneuver. The heavier the shit is on the front of your gun, the more likely you are to over travel when you transition between targets. It's just kind of how it is, man. It puts the weight out further from the end. There are exceptions to that rule that we like suppressors. Those are good because they serve a real purpose. Your bipod, while we're doing shooting and 85% of it standing up, is fucking a waste of money. Yes, you thought you looked super cool rocking your fucking $200 bipod on your $400 Palmetto State Armory 10.5 build, but you don't. For the love of God, put bipods on guns they're designed to, or QD them so you can take them on and off if you do need that capability. Don't leave them on there all the time. They're a waste of time and space for like 85% of the guns I see them on when I teach. Next up, I see this all the time with plate carriers. People have all their shit on, they're all decked out, they spend all their money and stuff like that. They're right-handed, draw your handgun, and they have like a fucking med kit or a GP pouch hanging out over their fucking handgun. And then they go to draw for the first time, and they catch everything. First off, that tells me you did not actually use your gear before you came to a class. Second, it tells me you've never drawn that gun before in that environment. So you're not training as hard as you think. Make sure that, for the love of God, like, here's the thing. I am not against having stuff on the cummerbund of my right side of my plate carrier. But that stuff is usually easily compressible. I'm talking Blue Force Gear 10-speed mag pouches, so that if I have a spare mag or a med mag in there, when I take it out, it compresses in. Or if I use the Faro Concepts elastic cummerbund, my favorite cummerbund, I use it on several different plate carriers, that will have med mags in it. But it's so I can get it out. Anything bulkier goes on my off gun side because that way I know it's out of the way. Even at work, when I'm at work and I'm running my outer carrier at work, my radio is more front loaded here, so it doesn't impede in my draw. And on this side is where I have some more of the extra stuff at. So because it doesn't matter, I can still get access to my belt. Your handgun is a life-saving instrument that if you have a rifle out and you find yourself going for it, you're fucked if it doesn't come out of the holster right away, okay? Don't fucking put shit on your gun sight. I see it all the fucking time. Well, I needed a place to put it and I have Molly. Just because you have Molly doesn't mean shit goes there. Leave that clear to draw your handgun, okay? Fucking life-saving advice, guys. I don't know who didn't tell you that. The next one, and we see this all the time, drop leg holsters. And that is not simply limited to a drop leg holster for a handgun. Now, I have guys, the guy that's in the other video, Officer Meanyhead. Officer Meanyhead runs a drop leg rig on duty and at the range with me, and he is incredibly fast out of it. But he also has tons of time on the range working that holster in positions other than fucking standing up. Here's the deal. When we start talking about holsters and holster placement, consistency is everything. If your holster moves, like it kicks out when you go to draw, which is why a thigh strap is important, you will not get a clean draw. You will be slower and it could fuck up shit. If your holster moves around and cants while you're going, you will not have a consistent angle to draw when you go to do it. Here's where we run into an issue with a drop leg holster. If you kneel down, your holster is now no longer like this, it's like this, which can present a problem for you. It also causes problems if we do things like double kneel, or if we cause you to change knees when we're shooting around barricades, right? If I've got you shooting out of a barricade on this side, and your drop leg holster is on this side, and I've got you over here posted up and you're shooting, and then I tell you, okay, left side kneeling, and you transfer over here and you go to shoot. Well, now that holster's in a different place, position, and your ability to get it out is going to be impacted. However, the guys that run them and train them constantly, and that's how they run them, good on you, because those guys are fast as hell out of them. The other one we see is a lot of departments don't want AR mags on their shit. So the way we run things is I have an AR mag on my belt, on my reload side, a happy mag, always do. But I have additional mags, and those run in a shooter bag for when if something happens on duty, but otherwise I'm wearing a plate carrier and they're mounted front and center. A lot of departments have a drop leg rig that goes on their offhand side that will hold 4 magazines that drops down onto their thigh. We watch it all the time. Yes, it's a convenient way for you to add capability to reload and service a rifle on the run. What it does do, though, is if you don't spend enough time training on how to get shit out of it, you can't get the mag out of it effectively. Here's another thing to think about. If I'm moving to a target, right, and I need to reload, like I went dry and I'm moving down and I've got cover, I can get this one off my belt line, back into the gun, back into the fight. But if it's on my thigh, that's doing this when I walk. So now you're impeding your movement. You're having to stop and slow down just to reload your rifle. Be smart about it, guys. Just because it looks cool doesn't mean it always works. And if that's what works for you, make sure you run it enough so that it's myelination. It is the word you use instead of muscle memories, because muscles don't have a memory port. Myelination. It's the ability for you to instinctively go and work something. You need to do it so that it's just automatic when you go to get it. You know how to make it function. Otherwise, you are giving yourself a handicap going into a gunfight. Next one, we see this with carriers all the time, is improperly sized carriers. I cover this in my plate carrier theory video where I talk about how we size carriers. Your plates are 8x10, so nipple to nipple, clavicle notch down to the base of the rib cage, the sternal down here, covers up your vital organs. Guys buy these big ass plate carriers because they think they want more coverage. Reality doesn't do that, but what we see more than anything is when they size them and they put them on, the front may be okay, but the back will be way down about this level on the back. You're not protecting anything. The other one, it's a telltale sign for us. If I see you in a plate carrier, if you're constantly shifting that thing around, it's not sized to your body. You have slack somewhere, it's uneven, and it's causing it to pull and twist. When you size out a plate carrier to fit you, the first thing you need to do is put plates in it and make sure it fits you. The second thing you need to do is put your gear into it and then go do some movement drills, run around, reload from it. You will be surprised how many times you will go to reload and it will shift that carrier on you. Or when you do a 20-yard sprint and you get behind something, 3 rounds, shit, malfunction, rifle's down, now I got to reload. Your stuff will be canted and shifted. The other one we see all the time is when you take a rifle, sure, those big-ass shoulder pads may make it comfortable, but it also will impede your ability to properly shoulder a rifle, getting a proper cheek weld and good relief through your optics. Make sure you train with your kit and you properly set it up so that you can still functionally and reliably engage with a rifle, not changing anything, and that it stays put when you're moving. So make sure that is properly fitted to you. Oh, and a big one. Rifle light placement. There is absolutely zero reason in the modern world that you should not have a weapon mounted light on your rifle. There's not. Okay? But what we see all the time is right-handed shooters with their fucking light mounted on the left side of the gun. So that means when they come up on target, they're looking through their sights here. They have something in front of their face impeding their vision on this side of the gun. Why? And then the best part is their tape switch is on the other side of it. So they're, instead of getting a proper thumb overboard grip and activating with their thumb or down with their thumb, they're having to reach under and catch it with their fingers. That is an improper placement problem. Your light may be great, but your light should enhance your visibility when you use it correctly. It should not block off a part of your awareness because it's on the wrong side of the gun. So typically, if you're a right-handed shooter, the light is going to go on the right side of the firearm, and your tape switch will either be 12 o'clock noon or off to the side on the left side of the gun so that you can operate it with your thumb on your support hand. If you're a lefty, flip that shit over. So the next one we see. Oh, yeah, and the other one with the lights is that's when we see people that can't actually function them correctly to use them at night, is because they fucking can't. And that's what we'd see. All right, you're going to use your weapon mounted light. You'd see lights come on and then go back off because they couldn't get a proper grip on the gun because of where it was set up. Like, it happens. They'll fire, and every time they fire, the light's gone, and it's because they can't hold on to it during recoil because it's in a weird fucking spot. Take the time to make sure you can activate and run your shit with your rifle. Those big ass long dick grips on the front of an AR. All the time, guys. They're out there, they're holding on to this thing for dear life, and that's how they're shooting. And they would wonder why they were shooting and low off to the side, and it's because they're dragging that fucking gun down. And then as soon as we made them correct it where they actually used it as a brace to pull back into their self with their thumb over bore, they were able to more effectively mitigate recoil, make quicker follow-up shots, keep a tighter group standing, had better control over the rifle. All of those things change because now you have control of the muzzle and you're not hanging off the bottom of the thing. If you want a long broom handle grip, great, but use it the way it's designed to use, which is for you to cup it like this with your thumb over bore. Not like this. Bad builds, man. We see this one too. Guys' departments will build out rifles for everybody. They'll have a gunsmith build out a rifle. And what we end up with is like a 13.9 stainless steel pencil profiled barrel because they got them cheap with a gas block that was not properly aligned, that's screwed down, and they use the wrong kind of shit to fucking set screw it in. And then they pin and weld on a fucking muzzle device. And then they get them out there to train with them. And when we start pushing those guns hard, they start leaking and they start short stroking and not working. Well, the problem is we're breaking star bits and Allen keys trying to get these things loose. And we have a gas problem that we can only fix by adjusting your gas block. But we actually can't take it off to make sure things are totally right and clean stuff up because you pin and weld on a muzzle device. Which is the next one. They pin and weld on like a 2-chamber muzzle brake that's not a suppressor host. So you have this obnoxiously loud muzzle brake permanently attached to your shooting weapon system that you can no longer actually fix your gun because your gas block can't come off. But I mean, we saw it all. We had pins come out of gas tubes, pins come out of gas blocks, shit go misaligned during this. You see all kinds of stuff. But when you build out a gun, before you pin and weld that muzzle brake on, make sure the fucking thing runs first. If you're going to pin and weld it, you damn well better make sure that what you just pin and welded on is what you actually need if you want to be a suppressor host. And then the other side of that is when we start talking about muzzle devices, muzzle brakes serve a very definitive purpose for competition shooters. However, law enforcement, guys that want to enter and clear rooms, are not comp shooters. We can shoot comps, but most of the time we're talking about entering and clearing buildings with other individuals. And I got news for you. If you step up next to me with a big-ass 3-chamber muzzle brake and start blasting shit off, we're going to have a discussion because I hate you, everything about you at this moment, because that's obnoxious. We see it when we do the night shoot, these big fucking fireballs coming out of the end of the rifle because they put a brake on because it mitigates recoil. And as Clint Smith puts it, quell the stunning recoil of the 223 Remington. Like, dude, it's a fucking spicy 22. Man up, put a flash hider on there, and if you want to do a brake, make sure it's a brake that goes with a suppressor, and then have a fucking suppressor, because everybody around you won't want to hurt you after the range day. And the last one on here, number 10, is cheap ass optics. Well, I got it for a good deal on Amazon. I don't care. If every 3 rounds we got to adjust your zero, we have a problem. Iron sights rarely fail, but we did see them fail this class. Iron sights that just yeeted off a fucking gun, watched it happen, the fucking sight post, gone. Like, it happens. Shit breaks. But iron sights are less likely to do it. And if you're going to have an optic, make sure your optic is tested and true. For the love of God, don't show up to a course, a class where we got a heavy sustained rate of fire over the course of 3 days, where you're expected to be learning and progressing as a shooter, and then have your equipment shit the bed on day 1 because it's not set up to handle the recoil at that rate out of a firearm. Make sure that your mounting systems have the proper recoil lugs so that we get repeatable zeros and you don't get zero shift. Buy a decent optic. Does that mean you got to buy an EOTech? No. If you got it like that, sure. Primary Arms makes great red dots. SIG, Vortex. You can get inexpensive red dots. Hollow Sun. I've seen those things last. If you're going to have an optic, I would rather you buy a $200 red dot from a reputable manufacturer that's going to work than I would for you to spend $300 on Bubba's LPVO. Buy a decent red dot. If you want an LPVO, buy a good LPVO, because the more glass we start stacking, the less clarity you're going to have. Eye relief's going to become an issue. These are all things you have to think about. Just because it looks cool does not mean it's the right thing for your application. So fucking buy shit that works for the world you intend to use it in, not the fantasy land you think you'll use it in. That's why we see bipods on fucking patrol rifles with a red dot. Like, what the fuck, dude? None of this makes sense. You have a finger painting rifle at that point. And last but not least, 2 honorable mentions, and then I'm going to let you guys go. First one is your ammo. Ammo. We had guys keyholing rounds at 15 yards. Like, fucking perfect keyholes at 15 yards. We took their ammo apart, and in 4 rounds, we had such a powder volume discrepancy that you could visibly see a 3 to 5 grain difference round to round. That's insane. It is nuts. And what it was remanufactured ammo. Yes, it's cheaper, but those guys actually had to go out of pocket and buy ammo for the next day to qualify for the Nebraska qual, because they could not trust their ammo to function reliably to actually get them a qualification score. Vet your ammo, guys. QC your ammo. Look through your shit. There's nothing wrong with reman per se, but go through it. If shit looks weird, start looking at it a little closer. But yeah, we had rounds keyholing at 15 yards out of these. One agency said 2 guys using the same ammo, and we were getting keyholes in both of their shit, and their guns were just fine. So, yeah, ammo, huge problem. I've never seen a round keyhole at 15 yards. That was wild. And your last one, and we see this all the time, is just because it's fucking cool, like, I get it, man. You were super hot to try. You wanted multicam Alpine. You live in, like, the fucking desert, man. You look dumb. And it's hyper visible because it doesn't match your terrain. Camo is fine, guys. For the vast majority of people, multicam Tropic will pretty much work 4 seasons out of the year. But you don't necessarily need camo. The vast majority of law enforcement, while I run multicam and a lot of other agencies do too, we also run Coyote Tan and Ranger Green. Those are like the predominant ones for everybody, because it's official looking. It blends in with most environments. It's not as in your face if you're out in public as multicam would be. Just because it was cool looking and it's expensive and your favorite TV show wore it does not mean it's going to work in the real world. Almost everybody I know, when we go out and we start teaching this, nobody's wearing t-shirts anymore. We're all wearing combat shirts because they wick moisture away from our body, they help us cool down our core, and they keep our arms from getting completely blistered from being in the sun for 15 hours. And the collar's awesome because it keeps your neck from getting burned. But just because it's cool doesn't mean it's the right answer. Buy stuff that is effective for your environment that you work in. If all you own is summer weight shit and you live in a place that spends 6 months out of the year below freezing, you have misgauged what your world is. However, if you have some decent ripstop pants, my favorite pants in the whole world are the True Spec 24/7 Expedition pants. Those are the best fucking pants I've ever worn. They have stretch panels where they should have stretch panels, a la a Cry Combat pant. They have knee pads in them. The cargo pockets are moved onto the front of the thigh, and they are actually stretchy on the front so you can get stuff in and out of them. I have drop through for cell phone behind it. I have vents sewn into the side so I can vent them down. They have mesh so I don't get bugs in my pants, but I get a breeze through my pants, which is awesome when it's 105 degrees outside. Make sure your clothing does what you need it to do. Because if those pants did not have vents, they would be totally useless and I would fucking die of a heat stroke. But because I run my shit all the time and I'm constantly testing and evaluating the way my gear functions, I know that those pants for me with the vents closed work great in winter. But I can also open them up and get some ventilation when it's 110 degrees outside. Are they Cries? No. Are they the most high-speed looking pants? No. But are they the best pant I have found for what I need them to do? 100% all the time. I wear them on duty. I wear them at training. I wear them in the ops side of the house. They're fucking amazing. So there you go, guys. They're not the most expensive thing, but they work the best. So test your gear. Go out and work it. Just because it looks cool or it costs a bunch of money does not mean it's the right fucking answer. So there you go, guys. There are my top 10 uncomfortable facts about the way people set up gear that we see all the time on the range, and things you should think about when you set up your own gear. Don't model your shit on other people's stuff. Do what works for you, because that's the person that's got to shoot it. I don't got to shoot your gear. So it won't. If it fucking doesn't work for me, it doesn't matter. Don't keep up with the Joneses. Be your own person. Set your gear up for what you need for mission success, and you'll be just fine. And then go test it out and make sure that it works like it's supposed to. So guys, I'm Uncle Freedom. Go ahead, like, subscribe, tell a friend. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you guys later.